What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode. And if you guys are a loyal listener or viewer, you notice I switched up the podcast studio a little bit more cozy, I think. And before we get started, a reminder to like and subscribe to my channel. I will be doing Miami Dolphin recaps every week, and we will go over the Miami Dolphins season and the process and everything that we should expect going forward based off my opinions. And also, I usually watch a bunch of shows and kind of get the vibe of other sports shows and kind of see what the temperature is. And a lot of the time I agree with it. And before the season started, there was a lot of shows hating on the Miami Dolphins, and I thought it was crazy. And I had a wild take saying the over is easy, especially if it went down to 7.5. And I was like, I don't know where they're getting this information. Nobody really knows. The talent is there. If they went 8-9 last year, why would they be 6-11 this year if Tua was healthy? And after 2 weeks, you're like, how did they know? How what did they see that what made me so delusional? I wasn't delusional in the point where I'm like, we're gonna win the Super Bowl. I was just like, why can't we be a seventh seed? Which isn't good enough. And that was always my explanation of like, well, if we're never gonna beat the top teams. What's the point? Like for us to win, Tua would need the best O line and the best defense. And then after 2 weeks, you're like, oh, this is like it's almost like we're back with Adam Gase. Although Adam Gase was very unlikable, we like our coach. And I know some people at this point are like clear the house, but I don't think that's what will happen. I think it will go down differently, and we'll get into that later. But I mean, my first thing is I didn't watch any shows to kind of like hear about the recap yet. I didn't want to. Sometimes I get upset and I just need to just kind of take a break. Like I know there's a comedian, Stavros. I don't know if you guys follow stand-up comedy, but if you don't, I'm a stand-up comedian, and this is a hobby for me. But one of my goals is to eventually tour and be able to sell out. But like there's some shows where I just have like one show that's specifically Dolphin fans, and we can all just like talk about it, and it's like a Dolphins podcast that I shoot live on the road following Dolphin games or whatever. But that's a dream, and that's only possible with this channel building. So that's why I say like and subscribe if you can. But I don't like, he's very animated and he gets excited and posts all the time after Ravens games. I can't when they lose. At least he's a Ravens fan. And for the last 5 years, they've been a team that you would assume is going to be a contending for a Super Bowl. And we were delusional enough to think that maybe last year and in 2023. Um, so I haven't really watched the recaps to really know what everyone's saying. I saw there's so many things that I do want to watch. I saw Dan Marino spoke. I want to watch Teron Armstead. I want to see what he has to say. I know he's never going to hate or say someone's going to be fired, as he mentioned before, but I want to see if he becomes a little bit more honest. Sometimes these guys don't want to be too honest if they're affiliated or close to the team. But like Mike Florio and Chris Sims, I love them. I know people don't like him as much because probably they're hating on your team, but he was right. So I like watching them. I like to see what Rich Eisen thinks. And obviously Dan Lebitard. They're all big Miami Dolphin fans, and I feel like before even watching these, a lot of us probably have the same opinion at this point. From what I've watched, we've stuck up for this team a lot, and we make excuses a lot and then sometimes talk ourselves into crazy takes. But I think everyone across the board, and I don't watch some of those other YouTube Miami Dolphin guys. I know that they have bigger channels than I do, but they're not like journalists, but they have channels like I don't really watch theirs, but I obviously I've seen some clips of them, and I feel like they're pretty positive, and most of us are pretty positive Dolphin fans. Otherwise, why would you watch the channel? Why would you watch the channel if I was just so negative and I said the team sucked? I don't think people would want to watch that. And I think that's genuinely why a lot of us are optimistic and positive, and it can be frustrating, and we will give our regard of what we think needs more work or or is the problem. And again, I'm not someone who analyzes the game tape the way an ex-athlete would, or am I able to point out why the O-line's bad or why the defensive line is bad? Like I'm not an X's or O's guy. I'm just a fan like you guys, but I like to use this as an outlet to express my frustration, and that's what I hope you relate to. And basically getting that all off my chest, what I'm trying to say is Tua has clearly regressed. I mean, he's regressed. It's night and day. I mean, in 2023, he played with a confidence that I had never seen. And obviously, that was with Mike McDaniel teaching him things and telling him he could be great. And the way he spoke, the way he led the team, it seemed like he was more confident. Now it's turned into a bit of a delusion. It's almost like Tua's delusional. He's got pearl white teeth. He's all tatted up. His hairdo. It reminds me of some comedians. There's comedians out there that you could tell did not have the same social life I did, or maybe they were introverts in high school or college. They probably didn't date a lot. They didn't have a lot of relationships. They didn't have a lot of experience in dating or maybe partying or, any outside social groups or settings of being anywhere close to popular, which also doesn't matter. But you can tell when they are trying to achieve that through their art once their art has been accepted and they become popular. You will notice comics like that guy was definitely an introvert and a nerd in high school, but now he's embracing it and it's coming out a little overconfident or inauthentic because he's in his 30s or 40s and he's trying to relive a thing from the past that he always wanted to. And I sense that a little with Tua, where he's like, I'm a NFL quarterback. I made it. I'm rich. I don't know if he wants to be cool, but there's not. I feel like he's lacking the humility that he once had. There was some sort of endearment that he used to have, and I feel like that's not there as much. And I don't think he's one of those people like Jamarcus Russell who got paid and he's like, I don't give a shit and his work ethic is bad. I think Tua is competitive and he wants to be great, but maybe the injuries have gotten to his mental. I mean, look, I'm 41. I do stand-up. I've done shows in front of thousands of people, and then I've done it in front of 10 people. I've done bad. I've done good. There's times I am like, on stage and I'm thinking, whoa, I'm not really connecting and it's not going well. And I'm a man who's comfortable in my skin and I don't really care if someone doesn't like me necessarily as opposed to wanting my art to work. Tua looks uncertain at times when he's dropping back there. And I don't know if that goes to Mike McDaniel's play calling, but that doesn't make sense to me because they've been together for now 4 seasons. So wouldn't it be like how I do stand-up? I have so many jokes that sometimes I don't even have to think. I know what to say or where to say, or I can pull a joke out of my back pocket and just say it, and it will work. And it just flows easily. Like, why isn't that with Tua? It's 4 years of Mike McDaniel plays. Wouldn't you think he's good enough to just be like, man, remember this play we used to do? And audible to it. And, like, have that rapport with Waddle and Tyreek, who have also been there for 4 years. And Achane has been there for 3 years. Like, wouldn't there be some sort of rapport? Now, maybe you have to, the O-line isn't necessarily on the same page, but, like, isn't there, like, just the play call, can't you make a signal to where, hey, you're going to block left instead of right? Like, I don't know. I don't know football that well, but, like, how come it seems more difficult and he looks more confused and it looks he threw the pick that got called back where it wasn't a pick in the beginning of the year, in the beginning of the game. It was like identical to the one that he threw against the Colts. It was just like, who is he throwing this to? Not to mention, Jesus, the whole set's falling apart. Not to mention the pick he throws at the end of the game, which I'll get to later. But these aren't picks like he's not as accurate, and that's his strong suit. So if the one good thing about Tua is, if the best thing that if the best part of Tua is not there, then what is Tua? Because he doesn't look good. I've watched some TikToks and other videos of showing his footwork has gotten bad. So it clearly to me seems like he's regressed. And correct me if I'm wrong, and maybe I'm watching it incorrectly, but like that's the vibe I'm getting, regardless of his numbers and how there was moments where he looked good. There were moments he did look good on the Waddle touchdown, a couple of the passes to Tyreek. But outside of that, there's a lot of just dumping it off to Achan outside, and Achan's the leading receiver. Like, I love it. I love that Achan can be like Kamara. He's like an Alvin Kamara. He's the next Alvin Kamara. Hopefully for the next 5-6 years, he's a guy that's rushing for 800, 900, 1,000 yards and receiving over 5, 6, 700 yards. Just like Kamara, like a fantasy machine. That's great. But also, I want wide receivers getting 1,500 yards, 1,600 yards, kind of like they did in 2022. In 2023, I'm sorry. With Tyreek and Waddle both getting well over 1,200 yards receiving. So, in 2022, I'm sorry, 2022, and then 2023 was good. I just don't understand that part. So it's like you're in year 6 and you look like, to me, it's clearly you regressed. That's my overall thing about this. Secondly, and I said this last week, I go after that horrible loss to a Colts team that actually looks like they're decent and they're in first place after 2 weeks. And it looks like they could be the best team in their division because the Texans are 0-2. Jaguars, they could have won that game. They definitely could have won that game, but they lost it like a young team loses games. But there's something there. It looks like there's talent there. But then you have the Colts who luckily won. They probably should have lost. They missed the field goal. Maybe I don't agree with the way they just settled for the field goal and then missed it, but then they get that penalty, and then they get to kick the field goal again and they win. But either way, they look comfortable, they look confident, they look good. So maybe they are good. But the Patriots look good against us. I mean, we make Drake May looks good. He looks good. 3 touchdowns. He looks good, makes plays. And I'm going to get into it, but the whole point is after that loss to the Colts, I said last week, I go, we'll know by halftime what we have. All right? And so at halftime, we were able to come back, and I believe it was 13 to, was it 13 to 10 or 7? Let me double check. But that's not the point. The point is we fought back in the second quarter and started getting it together, but it was the way we started. And that's disgusting, if you ask me. Right? The first quarter, halftime is 15 to 14. So we fought back. We got back in the game. Okay? But we were down 12-0. And that was the biggest thing for me is how is this team going to respond after last week? And great teams throughout history. This goes for anyone that's watched the NFL like me as a diehard fan of the NFL since the early 90s. Now we're going into 30 years of following football for 30 years. A really good team, even if they lost that game, they would have responded differently. They would have come out and scored on the first drive. They would have stopped them on the first drive. And again, I know that our cornerbacks were going to be the weakness of our defense, but this defense was good last year, and all this hype of this front seven, yeah, Chubb got a sack again, and then I know that later in the game, Brooks got a sack, and then I know that Chop Robinson got back. So we got 3 sacks, I believe, right? We did end up getting 3 sacks, which I guess on average that would be cool if you could get if you could guarantee yourself 3 sacks a game. That would be you would be happy with that. That would be a pretty good cool thing. The problem was I think only one of the sacks was a drive killer. I think 2 of the other sacks they ended up converting their third downs or still moving the ball eventually. So that's a problem. And overall, even though we had 3 sacks, it felt like we can't get pressure just in general. So it's like you got a couple sacks here and there, but overall the guy always had plenty of time to throw the ball. And then one time Jalen Phillips came around and then Drake May stepped up in the pocket. So the anticipation of Phillips is like, you want him to have better awareness there, maybe. I mean, I would like him to have a sack after 2 games if he's going to be one of these guys that we're going to re-sign, which I don't think they'll re-sign. I mean, he would have to have 10 to 15 sacks this year to want to re-sign him. Otherwise, based off his history of injury and the way this team's going, he's gone. And we'll get into what I think is going to happen with the team. But the defense just came out flat. They couldn't stop him. And then the offense came out flat. And it was horrible. And I love that they were booing because that's what should happen. We're frustrated. And we have every right to be frustrated because we invested so much time and money in this team. But the way they responded was not great at all. Was not what you wanted to see. Was not a team that was like pissed. It wasn't a team that was like, F this. And these guys are younger generation. Everybody's aware of what's being said. Regardless if they say they aren't. Like Tua's like, I don't know what's going on. Oh, fuck off. Shut up. You don't know what's going on? Then what the hell's wrong with you? Get your head out of your ass. Maybe you should know what's going on. And people are like, these guys don't stay off social media. They don't. It's culturally what people do. And maybe Tua does. Maybe that's a problem. Maybe he should be affected by what he's seeing, because for someone who's been online and in a generation where it's mostly evil online, comedians, you grow thick skin. So when people get 15 minutes of fame, you watch them mentally go through it, because no matter what, whether you're liked or not, you get that 15 minutes of fame, there's going to be people that don't like you, and you're going to hear about it. Comics, we deal with it all the time, and I'm just accustomed to it. Like, it's just I flick it off. Maybe you should know that. Maybe you shouldn't be that delusional. Maybe you should be a little aware of how you're coming off, and maybe start to ask yourself, well, how can I get better? They're saying these things about me. Is it true? If you're unaware of it, then maybe you think you're good. Like the other week when someone asked Tua, he's like, I don't see it. That's a crazy question. I'm turning the ball over excessively. Like, yeah, man, you are. You turned the ball over twice against the Patriots. Only one was recorded, but you threw bad picks, really bad picks, in moments that shouldn't be intercepted. Like, you should be, that's when a star comes out. And then you still got another chance to maybe drive down and get a game-winning touchdown. You can't get a game-winning touchdown with those wide receivers against that team at home? Goodbye. I'm over him. You sit in the pocket and take a sack? How many times have we seen that? How many times have we seen Tua take a sack on a 4th down, on the last play when he's driving? Too many times, man. Make a play. Throw the ball up. Just throw it in the air. I don't care. You have 4 seconds. Your clock should be 2 seconds. Your first look, not there. Who's your second guy? Just what are we doing taking sacks? I've seen him do this way too many times. Did it against the Titans in 2023. And if we don't lose that game, I think we win a playoff game. And I think this whole narrative and this whole team is different. I think that changed the history of this team. So I'm done with him. And at this point, we've stuck up for him so many times, but just because of his injury-prone stuff, like, I'm over it. That part alone, and then, like, if he is healthy, then win. And he just is not getting better. And he's not making smart plays or smart throws. He sailed one over Tyreek's head again. So it's not... I don't think there's room to defend this guy anymore. If he has the best O-line in the world, he'll be better? Yeah, who wouldn't? But we don't have the best O-line in the world, because you have Tyreek and you have Waddle and you have him who are being paid. So maybe go get the best O-line in the world and draft another quarterback, because I'm happy to give another guy a 4-year rookie contract and see what he can do. And I'd be willing to do that with Mike McDaniel. To be honest, I think McDaniel can be great if he got to start over. And I think he's going to get fired, and I think he's going to go be a great coordinator somewhere. And then I think he'll get another job later on in his life, and it might work when he's older. I think he'll get another chance maybe in his 50s, and he calms down a little bit more, and his personality is a little bit more accepted. And I think he will succeed, just like Flores will. Flores will be a coach, and he will succeed. Maybe, but like... It's just extremely frustrating. And I know that the running game isn't there. Like that's part of the problem, and that goes to the O line. And I know that there's been O line injuries, but they're awful. The O line's awful, and that goes back to taking sacks there. But like also, like guys, it's fourth down. Like you don't have the will to be like, just give him 5 seconds. Give him 5 seconds once. Like, where's like the toughness? That's what they're talking about. I never understood when they were like the toughness, the toughness. I go, what is toughness? A player throwing his face into another. The toughness is on fourth down, just giving him so much time to make a play. Like, there's no toughness in the interior. There's no toughness in the defensive line to like get a sack when we need a sack, and they did do it in the fourth quarter, and then we get a punt return, and then they get a kick return. We actually did it, and that was Jordan Brooks. There was like a little bit of toughness there on the defensive side of the ball. But the secondary is trash. But there's no toughness on the offensive line. And the fact that for 3 years now, we're still dealing with that, it's like, get the fuck out of here, Greer. How do you losing on that kick return after a punt return? It's just that's it. That's the team. That's the team, and that's the year. And going forward, what do you think is going to happen? Is there anyone really at all optimistic about what could happen for this Dolphins season? I'll tell you what the best thing for the Dolphins would be: to fucking lose a lot. To lose a lot would be the best thing for this team. And here's what I think happens first. I think Thursday night, we play the Bills. Obviously, we lose. And I think that Friday morning, somebody will be fired that's not the head coach. There will be some sort of thing. Because that's what happens first when the wheels come off. There will be, if the defense plays horrible, they'll blame Weaver. He'll go, even though he was great last year. If there's a special teams mess up, he'll go. If the offense plays bad, then Frank Smith goes. Like, somebody will go. That isn't Mike McDaniel yet. Right? Someone will go. Although it could be Mike McDaniel, because then you have a long week before the Jets. But rarely do you see a coach get fired that soon, besides the Jets doing it last year, which was crazy and unheard of. And for how much love Ross had for McDaniel and Greer and how tightly connected they are and how delusional they are to think that, hey, we've started slow before and then managed to turn it around when we did the 1-7. I think they hold on a lot and they can be tricked to staying a bit longer and, even up to that Chargers game before someone gets fired. If you lost to the Jets Monday night at home, that would be pretty bad. And because at that point you'd be 0-4, then I would think someone would get fired. But assuming that you get a game plan and based off of what we saw, there is some ability to score points and make plays here and there if Tua's not half stupid. So if you won the Monday night game and you went 1-3, there could be a point where they're like, well, let's see what happens when we go to Carolina, who seems like a struggling team. And then that could be a disaster because we could win and then be 2-3 headed home for the Chargers. And then the front office everybody could be like, well, if we just beat this Chargers team, we're back in it at 3-3 headed into Cleveland, Atlanta before we go to Baltimore. You know what I mean? Like, I see a scenario where this could take longer than it does, but I would be shocked if something drastically didn't happen after the Bills game at 0-3. And if it wasn't maybe like a coordinator or an assistant coach fired, I would think that would begin the Tyreek stuff. Because Tyreek's going to be like, I'm not going to be, unless of course Tyreek has a touchdown game. But if he has another game where it's like five catches for 40 yards, he's gone sooner than later. And he would be the first piece gone. But if that does happen or doesn't happen, the coach is gone first. And I don't think they usually fire a GM during the season. I think that's something that would happen later on in the season. Now, it could, and I wouldn't be shocked if it did, and I would appreciate it if it did happen. If like assuming we're 0-3, I would be fine to have a team that's 0-3 headed into New York with no coach and no GM. I would be fine with that. And then already in that week, Tyreek's being shopped. But I think the GM gets fired after the season. Maybe they give Weaver the wheels. I don't know. And then you could even start to go as far as when does Tua get benched? Not that he's like he has regressed and he doesn't seem great, but if you're 1-5, why would you not throw your rookie in there if he's healthy or Zach and just see what happens? Why not? What's the point? Because at that point you're giving up. If you're firing the coach or the GM, you're giving up. Like then there comes to a point of like, well, Tua, I don't assume he's going to get better. I assume the fact that he's regressed is very concerning. And I don't know if that's because he lacked confidence because of injuries and something happened at the end of last year with his hip. And I don't know. And his head and all that stuff. But I think, and when I look over here, I'm looking at the schedule. I assume that maybe that's what you guys knew I was looking at, but now I realize that might have been weird. So I don't know what would happen, but I would assume after 0-3 against the Bills, the Tyreek thing starts. And now who else my whole brain goes to, like, if we could get rid of Tyreek, I assume you could get rid of Waddle. And I know Waddle's one of our homegrown guys that you would like him to, I always dreamed of Waddle being the guy who's like one of our leading receivers all time in franchise history. But if we're going to rebuild, why not get as much draft capital as possible? Keep Achane's on a rookie contract, but like get rid of the contracts of Waddle and Tyreek. Phillips is on he's on his 5th-year option, so he's going to walk. Because you're not going to pay a guy who's been injury prone, who right now doesn't have a sack, and he was your first-round pick. So would you potentially try to get some draft capital for him? Because he goes to a contender, that's a great valuable piece. You throw him on any team, like the Ravens or the Chiefs, or someone in the West, the 49ers, anyone, Lions. Imagine him opposite side of Hutchinson. I mean, there's plenty of people that would love Phillips. And then Chubb is another guy who also looks good. So I see 4 pieces that you could move for draft capital. And that's the idea. I would immediately, after an 0-3 start, and assuming it's going to be very ugly on Thursday, why would you not? Do you think you're going to go in the next 14 games? Do you think you're going to go 11-3 and make the playoffs? Because that's what you have to do. You're gonna have to win 11 games to make the playoffs. 10 already from your division loss and a conference loss to the Patriots and Colts. 10-6 probably won't get you in because you're not going to get the tiebreaker. And 10-6 teams that get in are tiebreaker teams usually. So why not? Why not? Those are the 4 guys I would trade off. Chubb, Phillips, Tyreek, and Waddle. Enough draft capital to really move up in a draft and get higher draft picks along with the first pick that you're going to have this year. That as of right now, looks like it's going to be a top 5 pick. And with the quarterback class coming out, how do you pass up on that? Whatever coach comes in, and this is my idea. All right, my idea is John Gruden. It's culture change. He deserves his second chance. He's been in timeout long enough. It's not that crazy of a thing he did. Bring him back. It's culture change. Do I think he could be great? Maybe. It's immediate culture change. It's tough. It's hard football. It's in your face. I love him. I don't know any of the other guys out there. I don't know any other coaches out there that, the coordinators. I don't know what young awesome coordinators are out there. I don't know the college coaches that would be ready. I don't know them. Maybe there's better options, but the obvious one to me is like Gruden. You want a complete 180 culture change. I say we put that out there. And your responsibility as a fan is to jump on this. And he's out there and he's working for Barstool. But if we put that out there, this could happen. We got to push for Gruden. We got to push for Gruden. Let's get Gruden out there. Let's get him. He lives in Tampa. He lives in Tampa. Come down to Miami. It's right there. Take a little private jet. Ross will pay for it. You can go home every day. Work out at the facility, private jet home. Half hour. It's a half hour. Some of these guys drive a half hour to go home. You could go home to Tampa every day. You wake up in the morning, fly down. It's a half-hour flight. Let's go. It's not that big of a deal. Ross, pay for it. Just take a little private jet right down. You can take a Cessna. You don't have to even live in Miami. Live in Tampa, come to the facility. That's it. Bada bing, bada boom. Let's get Gruden. Everybody needs to start tweeting it, threads it, Instagram. Everybody, we need to push for Gruden. Let's do it. That's really all I have. That's what I think. Let me know what you guys think about the Dolphins. I'll get into the NFL a little bit. Some quick notes. Green Bay has the best defense. This is my thoughts. I think Green Bay looks like they have one of the best defenses in the NFL after 2 weeks. Clear shot contender. Lions are back. Detroit is back. We thought maybe that they were going to be bad, but you know what? Week 2, they go, no. We are who we are, and that was just a week 1 hiccup, but also Green Bay has a really good defense. Chicago fans are probably overreacting right now. I think they're going to be fine. There's probably a lot of overreacting going over there right now, but I think they're going to be fine. It's a long season, Chicago fans. I always told you, if you go 7-10, that's a good year for you. Okay, it's a first-year coach. Give it some time. He's a complicated offensive coordinator. He's like a McDaniel, not personality-wise, but like scheming. So just give it some time. You never know what will happen, okay? Your week 2 was not like our week 2 with Mike McDaniel when we came back against the Ravens. I'll say that. Greatest Dolphin game I've ever seen. Colts might be really good. They did get lucky, but maybe they're really good. That was a note. Another one, Baker Mayfield will be an MVP candidate. Tampa's good. Tampa's good and Baker's good. He's legitimately playing how everyone assumed he would be, and he was just with a bad organization, and then he was also injured for a little bit, and they gave up on him too soon, and now they regret that because this guy's a franchise quarterback who's going to be an MVP candidate. And I believe he got some MVP votes last year, threw over 40 touchdowns. I think he was in the top 5, but with Allen, Lamar, was Hurts in there? Oh, Barkley was in there. Baker might have been 5th. Burrow was there too. So I don't know if Baker got votes, but he definitely was a top 5 candidate. I feel like you could say that last year, but he's definitely he's in the right direction to be an MVP candidate. I believe that one. Another hot take: Chiefs will not have a home playoff game this year. 0-2 start. A lot of these good teams have had 0-2 starts. The Bengals over the years. I don't think that they will miss the playoffs at all. I think they just played 2 of the best teams in the league back-to-back weeks. First of all, the Chargers are good. The Chargers are really good. And that's what happens when you get one of the best coaches of all time. We might see a Harbaugh championship game. Either way, the Chargers are good. They look complete. They look organized. It just looks like it's working on all cylinders. And I actually do think they're going to win the division. I know it's only 2 weeks, but Chiefs will not have a home playoff game. There'll be a wild card team that has to probably, play not the Bills or Chargers in the first week, but maybe they're going to play the North or South, and maybe they upset that team. Unless it's the Ravens, who's the, maybe they're going to be a 5 seed. A 5 seed Chiefs team. So maybe they're playing the worst division team. They still upset that team and they make it on. Who knows? And poor Bengals. I bet Joe Burrow to be MVP. That's not going to happen now. So I lost that bet. And I think that it's unfortunate because, he's going to now after this season is over, he will have missed more games than Tua. So, but he still went to a Super Bowl, and we know how great he is. But, man, this guy's been unlucky with injuries. In his 6 seasons, this will be his 3rd season missing most of the seasons. Most of the season. Yeah, 3 years he's missed most of the season in his 6 seasons. And that's unfortunate. But if they can win, they say they think he can come back in December. So if they can win, in December they'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games left. 5-1. He's got to get to 11. So they got to get 4 more wins. Can they get 4 more wins? Can they get to 6 wins before he's healthy? Because when he comes back, his competitive greatness, they could win out. Who knows? So their goal is to win 4 to 5 more games with Browning. I don't have their schedule, but that would be interesting to look at to see what they have left. So looking at the Bengals schedule right now, they have the Vikings, who we don't know what the Vikings are. They could be bad offensively. Then they have the Broncos, Lions. Jesus, this is tough. They have the Broncos, Lions, Packers. They could lose all 3 of those. Then the Steelers, they could lose that. The Jets, they could lose that. The Bears, you know what? Good luck, Bengals. It's going to be tough. And I'll close it out with my power rankings. No movement with... No, there was some movement. Where did I put... Oh, wow. I moved them out. All right, so power rankings. There was movement, but not with my top 3. So here we go. Number 10, Indianapolis Colts. You got them. 2-0. Lucky or not, they're 2-0. Number 9, 49ers. Winning a game without Purdy. They look fine. I'm not excited about them, but they're top 10. Lions, with a big enough win like that, it feels like they're back to where they were the last 2 years, and we're overreacting from the Packers' loss. I'm putting them back up in the top 10. Number 7, the Buccaneers, man. Baker Mayfield, MVP year. He's in there. Rams at 6. Stafford looks great. Defense looks good. A little scary game. Closer than you wanted it to be, but good teams win games like that. Number 5, the Chargers. They look, like I said, they look great, like a complete team. I like it, and I think they can win the division if they stay like this, stay on course. And our top 4, you guessed it, pretty much the same. I'm keeping the Ravens up there. Ravens, they get to move back up because they won and they're back on track. And the only reason they lost was because they played one of the best teams in the league, and they played them to the last minute. So that's why they're at 4, and I still think they're actually probably the best team in the AFC. Number 3 is the Packers, best defense in the NFL, second best team in the NFC. And number 2 is the Bills, which, as a Dolphin fan, it's crazy to say this, but I'm kind of rooting for them. I like Josh Allen. He's fun to watch play. I would never say this about the Patriots or a Jets team, but for whatever reason, Josh Allen's likable, and outside of the Ravens, they're the best team in the AFC. They're the best team. I would say that the Ravens are better, but look, Bills' defense played a lot better. And Josh Allen didn't have to do anything, and they won. That's scary. Let's see what they do against us. They might put 40 up against us. I would take the over and the spread. I'm going to have a lot of fun betting on this Bills game. All betting against the Dolphins so much. I can't wait. That's how I'm going to win money. I'm always going to bet against the Dolphins. And the Eagles are number 1. Clearly. They've beaten 2 great teams. So that's my top 10. Thank you guys for watching. It's going to be a long year for us, but here's what's optimistic. We're in a year where there's a lot of our Florida teams are great. FSU's good. Miami's good. And, maybe there's players on those teams that could be playing for the Dolphins. Who knows? But let's just enjoy college and watch. It's fun. Now you get to focus more on college and see what players we're going to try to go after. And that's what we did the year we tanked. When we had Fitzmagic, I was watching a lot of college, and I was like, ooh, who's going to be our quarterback? And we didn't draft Herbert, and the rest is history. All right, guys, bye.